Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check this out. SEC DPP motion denied. But what does it mean for the retail holder as well? We got so much to get into today. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen, and everything that we're talking about here today. $1.874 trillion market cap, ladies and gentlemen. We're off by 0.47% this morning. Right now, Bitcoin 40,000 plus, Ethereum 3,000 slightly over. And at the number 7 spot this morning, it's 71 cent XRP. We're off by 14.22% on the 7-day. Look at the price range really quickly here. Lots to get into and take apart and really try to figure out and get some clarity as we move forward in understanding the SEC versus Ripple case. Huge win for them. Look right here, 69 cent on the bottom, 72 cent on the top. Let's talk about it. One thing I want to talk about very quickly is this. Right now, $1,000 XRP promo. You can buy it. Doesn't matter whether you wire the money, uphold the money, whatever. $1,000 worth of XRP to anybody buying Ripple on link2.com. Private investing made simple. And you know what? I think I'm going to be making a purchase of one of these top sellers this week myself. I'll let you know what it is when I do. Link underneath the video. Check this out right here. James K. Filan says the court has granted the SEC motion and approved the SEC's proposed redactions of the notes of the meetings between the SEC and the third parties. Now, if my memory serves me right, I align with Jimmy Life here, who is really somebody I think you should be following here. I love Jimmy Life's insights and his thoughts on what's happening in this space. He says, it was my understanding that the defendants, Ripple, don't get to see unredacted documents, which is why they deferred to the judge to decide. Is that not right? And I believe that it is. So this is really just an agreement here to saying that you guys can, the judges approved the redactions that the SEC wanted. But let's talk about this, because Jeremy Hogan shared this right here and said that he feels the order is a little concerning because she allows redactions of parts which discussed separate agency deliberations. His concern, it's those parts of the emails that are most damaging to the SEC. How will we know? If the SEC appeals up to Judge Torres, then they are in trouble. Wow. How about this, man? For all of these legal analysts like Jeremy and everyone else in this space who provide such amazing insights and share with us, are so gracious. Appreciate each and every one of them, especially this guy right here. It's John Deaton. He says, now we got the redaction thing taken care of, right? But let's talk about now what James K. Filan broke to all of us late yesterday, which the court has denied the SEC's motion for reconsideration of the DPP ruling and granted the SEC's request for clarification of that ruling. So John Deaton says this is not just a win for Ripple and XRP holders, but for the judicial system. After the March 2021 hearing, I said we were lucky to get Judge Netburn. Some of us disagreed. He says, but I still believe it. The SEC is now officially in a hurt locker. How about that one? And then let's get to this. I said this is a huge win for Ripple as well. Thank you to Jim Filan for shouting that out, or not shouting out, but posting that and sharing that for all of us. My question now is, does this make William Hinman's actions criminal? That's the question for me. But let's get into this right here because we have some thoughts about all of this. So the court has denied the SEC's motion for reconsideration of the DPP ruling and granted the SEC's request for clarification of that ruling. He goes on to say, the SEC has identified no intervening change of controlling law or any other controlling decision undressed by the court's January 13, 2022 order. The SEC's assertion that the speech was intended to communicate corporate finance's approach to regulating digital asset offerings is inconsistent with the SEC's and Hinman's previous position that the speech was intended to and did reflect his personal view. This is the judge saying, I'm not going to let you have it both ways. The SEC seeks to have it both ways, but the speech was either intended to reflect agency policy or it was not. Having insisted that it reflected Hinman's personal views, the SEC cannot now reject its own position. This is a very big win for Ripple. The SEC has 14 days to file an objection to this decision to District Judge Torres. Now, we have some other thoughts to think about as well when it comes to all of this. Let's take a listen. Let's go through those now. So let's think about this for a minute. So the judge basically had the SEC submit, out of the 65 emails or 65 plus emails, they chose from 10 and gave 10 in an attempt to change the judge's mind. Now, you have to assume they gave the best 10 they had. Now, if you think about this, and I was able to talk with, just a lawyer that's following the case, you know what I mean? And this is really their summation back to me when I asked, does all of this recent denied motion of DPP, doesn't it make it harder for the SEC to want to go to trial? Because I think that it does, right? I think that this really puts pressure on the SEC to have to settle or at least get a summary judgment, right? Because they recently said that they want to go to trial, and I believe that that was a bluff to really try to force Ripple to the negotiating table because it's more pain for them to stretch this out even longer. However, when I think about this, and I conferred with, a lawyer that's following the case, they had said basically, okay, well, they had submitted the best emails to try to change the judge's mind, and it didn't change the judge's mind. So with that gives that lawyer great hope. He says, long-winded way of saying that if they go to trial, they will look really bad. But we have to remember this is a government agency, so they don't act as the same way private litigants do. So in other words, they're not afraid to go to trial and try to get away with something anyway, because they're an agency and not a private litigator, right? So that's incredible. Then, I have to say, think about this too. Many people put a lot into the fair notice defense. What many people don't realize is that the defense only works for the actual defendants, which is Ripple, Brad, and Chris. And it is an affirmative defense. So it doesn't come into play unless and until a court or jury finds that XRP is a security. Otherwise, what do they need the defense for? So, hypothetically, it could be that the judge or jury finds XRP is a security, but the three named defendants, Ripple, Brad, and Chris, did not have fair notice or had a fair notice, so they don't have to pay any fines and aren't barred from the industry. But it doesn't change the fact that it was found to be a security if it goes that way. Now, the lawyer I was speaking to doesn't think that this will happen. He thinks that it will be found to not be a security. But if it is, and the named defendants are successful on the fair notice defense, XRP holders are still holding a security and are essentially kind of, right? Screwed over a bit. So fair notice can only help those three defendants, nobody else. This is really why I entertain and have entertained the notion if XRP were to get a security designation, what would it mean for retail holders like you and I? This is why I have speculated on this quite a bit. Now, I believe XRP is a virtual currency also. I don't believe it is a security, but that and 50 cents won't get you a cup of coffee, right? The fact that you and I out here agree doesn't mean it changes anything. So that's why we're forced to think about these uncomfortable thoughts should they take place. And this is why I have suggested we should consider, should things go that way, does it mean the end for us? Or does it just really mean the end for anyone else having the opportunity to get the asset? And if we were to have to sell it, we would probably be forced to go through an official broker like a Fidelity. And it may be that once you sell it, you're never getting the opportunity to get it again. And wouldn't that be a path in how they could get the retail out of this game? Now, with that being said, again, I really believe XRP is a virtual currency, and I believe it is not a security. But again, if they went this road, maybe what they do is it gets a security designation, becomes an electronic bond, and they could launch a price-set stablecoin off of the asset. And if Dave Morgan is correct, as we covered from Stansberry Research interview, he says it's entertained that the new digital dollar could be placed on the back of XRP. Now, if they set that to where they said, hey, it's $100 peg, $1,000, $10,000 peg, they could peg it at a $50 peg, $20 peg, and adjust it however they needed to. But the point I'm making here is, and I don't know what happens, but the point I'm making here is we better be thinking about the possibilities of what we want to happen and the possibilities of what we maybe don't want to see happen, so we can be prepared for any outcome. That's the whole idea, right? Because we don't want to be harmed. And I don't want anyone to prematurely think that we're harmed when maybe we won't be. Maybe it's just the fact that if it goes the route of a security, that once you sell it, you can't hold it anymore. Maybe that's the case. So you better know when you get rid of it, because you're not going to get any more of it. Maybe that's the scenario. Maybe it works out exactly like we want, and none of this is worth considering. But you know what? Understanding that the fair notice defense does not apply to retail holders. And thank God for John Deaton, because he applies to retail holders. This case is about Ripple, Brad, and Chris. And the fair notice defense protects them should it come into play, and not the retail holder. Look, that's going to do it for me. That's food for thought on this day. Make sure you leave a comment underneath the video. This thing ain't over, but it is a huge win for Ripple, Brad, and Chris. I'll catch all of you on the next one.